Hey everybody, today I want to talk about something that I'm kind of excited about. It's something that's been a long time overdue, and that is I was able to finally clean and organize my tool shed that I have that you see behind me. A little bit of backstory about this. This is the house I grew up in, and so all the stuff that was in here was my dad's. And over the 45-year period that he owned this, he amassed quite a bit of stuff, a lot of tools. It was used both as a workspace but also storage. So it got very cluttered. My dad passed away 6 years ago, and I bought the house 3 years ago. So I've lived here for 7 years. And but for the first little while, I also used it as storage and a workspace whenever I needed it. But most of the time, it was just I put a lot of stuff on this workbench and underneath it. That kind of changed a little bit. And in 2017. I bought a 1974 Volkswagen Super Beetle convertible, and it needed a lot of work, and so I started using this a lot more as a workspace, not just for storage. And in fact, that Christmas, my daughter and my wife bought me for a whole bunch of pegboard hooks, and also a tool organizer that goes into a pegboard to help me out getting this more organized. But they didn't get me any pegboard because it was really expensive, and I didn't really actually have it set up to do it at the time. So it was kind of a gift that it was understood that I was going to be using for the future. Fast forward to this year, this is 2020, my daughter bought a 1972 Volkswagen Super Beetle convertible, and that she's going to be using for her first car. She turns 16 next year, and we're trying to get it working, but we finally got it brought down here to the house, and I'm going to be hopefully working on it a lot steadily through the winter. And I was going to need to have this be a true, proper workspace because I'm going to be in here a lot, and so that's kind of what got me prompted to do it. Plus, when I was wire wheeling Kuiper's brake parts, I noticed how absolutely cluttered my workbench was, and I'm like, I got to take care of this. I can't do this anymore. I even mentioned it in the video when I was dealing with his front brakes. So about 2 weeks ago, I decided I had enough. So I took everything out of this shed, everything off of the bench, everything below the bench, most of the stuff, all the tools out of here, most of everything out of here. It's kind of funny. In the time that I was doing it, there was no snow called for in the forecast, but all of a sudden, halfway through this, it started snowing and got a bunch of my stuff wet before I could put a tarp on it. But then it ended up snowing three inches that night. And then I went through and did a proper inventory of all of the tools that I had amassed over the little while, and also all the tools that my dad had. Went through all of the wrenches. I went through all of the socket sets. Went through all of the screwdrivers. I went through all the tools that he had, and I was able to kind of organize 3 different sets of tools. I basically set up and organized a tool set that I could keep in here for all the things that I'd be using commonly on a constant basis, at my fingertips, ready for me to use. And that set was going to go in here. I had enough to give a really nice starter set for Claire for her car. It's not completely, but it's got most of the things that she's going to need to work on her car and other projects that she's going to have in her life. And then another set that was pretty nice that I was able to set aside to put into the house for house use. That's separate from this one. So it's we had a lot of tools. And then once that was done, I realized, what? I don't have any way to organize these tools. I don't have any place to really put them. And then it dawned on me that I still had that pegboard set of hooks, and then also that organizer. I'm like, maybe this is the time to maybe get some pegboard. But pegboard is still expensive. But then I discovered that Home Depot has these 16 by 16 inch plastic pegboard sections that are interlocking, and they're only $6 a piece. So I'm like, that's cool. So I installed them. First of all, I took all the tools off of this wall back here and took all the nails that my dad had set up, and that's where I installed the pegboard. And then I was able to kind of organize it the way as you see it. it makes sense for me, but it's not necessarily probably the best way to do it. I still have like this tool chest over here I still need to go through, but pretty much everything else is pretty much organized, and not necessarily neat and tidy, but it's organized to the point where I know where everything is, I know how to access it, and I'll give you a tour of this right now. Okay, so this is the tour of my work shed. As you can tell, it's not very big. It's only 6 feet wide and about 8 feet tall. I've got a single workbench, and it's not that big. But under here, I've got a rolling cart that's got 2 tool cases and some other like hand tools parts in it that rolls out. It makes it nice so that I don't have to sit there and to pick things up off the floor, because that's where it was kind of before. This is kind of organized in a pretty, I think, straightforward way. I've got, you know, screwdrivers and awls and nut drivers and things that are kind of handy right here. All of the tools you see are just kind of things I think I would be using on a regular basis, that I would need. Got my metrics here, my SAEs here, my ratchet wrenches here, socket wrenches there, last little wrenches here. Yeah, this is kind of cool to have. This is a picture of my grandfather, John Henry Wickham the First. I never got a chance to know him because he died before I was born, but evidently, these pictures were taken in 1930, but evidently he was a master mechanic. Anybody who had any problems with anything, he could tell them how to fix it, or he'd fix it himself. I don't claim any mechanical genes from him, but I still put his picture up here to give me some inspiration whenever I need it. Right here I've got, these are impact sockets, and the socket wrench I have, or the impact wrench I have, is for 1/2 inch, but this is for 3/8 and 1/2 inch, and the top portions here are metric, and the bottom portions here are SAE. And the cool thing about these is these are magnetic. You can just take them off here, and at the ends they're magnetic. And so you come in here, you grab what you need, you use it, and then you can put it back. And then I have these metal strips that I have fastened here. So now when I'm done with them, just put it back up. Makes it really easy. Another magnetic strip for for different tools and scissors and all sorts of things. One of the more important things out here is I've got this old iPod set up with on this little speaker thing, and it provides the music, which you need to have. Let's see. Just an organizational area here with some trays and bins, and just overall just a spot. Eventually, I think what I'll do is I'll replace this with one of the actual kind of official tool chests with trays and drawers and stuff. But I don't know. This works for me now. I'm not really ready to. It's not really broken yet, so I don't need to fix it. But I'm also kind of happy about this. This is something that is a new addition, as well as the second socket over here. Originally, this socket right here was the only electrical outlet in the room. My dad had a dual 120 connection that came in here, and it was situated right here. And he had some 240 tools that he would use, so he would use that plug. Well, it's the old style that looks like it's for a dryer. And in order to be able to also power lights, he used this gray cable, and so as you can see, that goes up to this blue junction box, and that provides power to the room. But if he wanted to use a tool, he had to unplug it from the socket and plug in his tool, and then unplug the tool and plug this back in so he could have lights and stuff. I bought an air compressor that uses the more modern style of 240 connection, and so I couldn't use this, so I had this installed. I want to give a shout out to my friend Trevor for doing the installation. It was very nice of him. He's an electrician. I'm not, but I am learning more, so I do appreciate that. So in general, it's just nothing really to write home about, but it's mine, and I think I'll be happy to work on stuff. If you see anything here you want to have a question about, let me know. But isn't that the truth? Genuine winning pit. Yeah, this is my workshop. So there it is, my tool shed. Now it may seem kind of silly for me to be so excited about something like this, but it's just been a long time coming, where I've wanted to always have a clean, organized space that I can work with, that I don't feel like I'm stepping on my own toes. You know what I mean? But also, more importantly, it's been a very personal journey this past 2 weeks, as I've gone through all of my dad's stuff in here, all of his tools, and it really has given me a lot more insight into the kind of man he was. You get to really know somebody when you get to go through their stuff. I did a lot of questioning as to, well, Dad, why did you keep this? This is a broken chain. What did you do? You know, what did you? Things like that. But then other times I'm thinking, wow, Dad, you actually had one of these. This is really cool. These are the good ones. You know, like so it was kind of a really interesting thing, because I never got a chance to know him on this side of things. The only experience I ever had with my dad when it came to anything mechanical was me holding the flashlight for him while he was doing stuff. We never had any projects we worked on together. I never did any wrenching with him that I remember. It's been a long time, of course, but no, it's an interesting insight, and I feel a lot closer to him now than I ever have. I also discovered that there were a lot of these tools that he had, or at least some of them, also belonged to his father, my grandfather, John Henry Wickham I. And so even though I never got a chance to know him because he died before I was born, I'm feeling a little more kinship with him as well, because I'm using his tools. And I'm going to be using, it's almost indescribable, the feeling that I have right now, but it's very cool. And as I'm going to be using these tools and working in this space, I will always feel closer to my father. So thank you so much for watching and being patient with me while I've been discussing this. Be on the lookout for more videos with Kuiper and Kuiper stuff that we're working on. Also things I'm doing for Otto. I really appreciate all the encouragement and the comments that you leave. They're needed and they're appreciated. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.